Hey folks, this is Chris Crazy House, and I want to talk a little bit about the new trailer for the movie Kong Skull Island. And it's going to be a new King Kong movie, and I think it's set in the 60s during the Vietnam era. And it's about a survey team that goes to survey Skull Island. And of course, for those who are King Kong fans and know all about giant monsters, they know that this is the home of King Kong. And not only King Kong, but lots of other different types of monsters on there. So I'm very much looking forward to this movie only because I'm a giant monster fan and I've always been a King Kong fan. Growing up, I watched the original black and white movie several times. I did enjoy Peter Jackson's version. I've seen the 70s version several times too. That's the one where he climbs up the Twin Towers. And I'm not as big a fan of that one. That one's okay. I think I enjoyed King Kong Lives, which was the direct sequel to that version of King Kong. And since I heard that they were going to do a Skull Island movie, I've been looking forward to it. And what's cool about this movie is that it takes place within the same universe as 2014's Godzilla movie. So I think what they're building up to is a King Kong versus Godzilla type film. And hopefully it has other monsters in it as well. So, right off the bat, when we watch this trailer, it starts off with Samuel L. Jackson's character. I believe he is the captain of the military that is taking the survey team out to Skull Island. And if you look very closely at the images of the map, it looks like a giant skull. So I guess maybe that's where it gets his name from, or where people kind of get the name for it. Is probably more so from what else you're going to see in the trailer. But if you even look at the map, it does look like the skull of some sort of humanoid or some sort of monster or gorilla. And of course, it's got the dude that I believe his name is Corey. I can't remember what his last name is. I want to say call him Corey Hawkins, but I know he played Dr. Dre in the Straight Outta Compton movie. But he is the main scientist that's helping to survey the island, and they're dropping actual bombs to help them get seismographs, and that way that they can map the island properly. Because I guess because of the different weather patterns when they're flying towards the island, you really can't do it in a traditional manner. And of course, this movie also has Tom Hiddleston, who plays Loki. Most people know him from the Marvel movies playing Loki. And what I kind of like about this movie, at least what it seems like from the trailer, is we see King Kong fairly early. But what I understand, the director of this film, who, while he said he enjoyed the Godzilla film that came out in 2014, he says he didn't like the fact that we didn't see a lot of Godzilla. So he wanted to kind of do the opposite with the King Kong movie. And it looks like we have a run-in with King Kong almost immediately. Like, he's almost the first monster that you actually see. And there's that famous shot that was in the original teaser trailer where Kong throws a palm tree through a helicopter. And we get this really cool shot opening up where we kind of zoom around with the helicopters almost in a first-person perspective. And we kind of see Kong up close. And he's roaring, of course, as always. And he grabs one of the helicopters and smashes it down into the ground. And that comes up with probably my favorite shot in the entire trailer, which is Samuel L. Jackson kind of facing down King Kong. And it's a very cool shot. It's almost very hellish because of all the fire and stuff like that. And this scene, and there's another scene coming later on, where King Kong is swatting, I don't know if he's swatting the humans or he's swatting the fire or whatever, but this is kind of showing that he might actually be fireproof. Now, that's kind of what people are hypothesizing from watching this trailer, because he seems to be getting hit by fire and it's not really affecting him a lot. So I'm thinking they might be doing that only because if King Kong is going to fight Godzilla, how is he going to withstand Godzilla's atomic breath? This might be the thing that helps him if he's actually can resist fire, and they kind of reveal that in this film. That makes a lot more sense for him fighting Godzilla. And also, this King Kong is a lot larger than the King Kongs that we've been used to. Usually King Kong, he's large, but he's never been the same size as Godzilla. So I think they're kind of giving him more of a size that he can at least compete with Godzilla on a larger scale. But overall, like I said, I really enjoyed this trailer. I liked some of the shots. Of course, that another famous iconic shot from this trailer already is Kong rising up and the helicopters flying towards him. You just see his silhouette against the sun. Very cool shot. There's another shot that I like. I call it the shadow of the Colossus shot in the film, and that's where there's someone bathing in like a lake or something like that, and you see King Kong kind of walk by in the background. And the shot is very reminiscent of the game Shadow of the Colossus, if you've ever played that. The very first Colossus that you face, it almost is introduced exactly the same way, if anyone recalls that. And then we're kind of introduced to some of the natives in this film. And these natives look a lot different from what we're used to. A lot of times in these King Kong movies, the original, of course, especially, have very cliche, stereotypical black natives. And this one, they look a little bit different. I'm not sure if they're actually native to the island. It looks like they might have just been sailors that wound up there. And the whole island has this weird aesthetic where this weird blocky type paint. So that has a different look to it. And they have this really cool statue or this like little monument, and if you look at it from the side, it doesn't look like much, but as you move forward and stand in front of it, you can see it's actually King Kong face and people bowing down towards him as a god. And of course you have the character played by John C. Reilly. I don't know what his character's name is, but he looks like someone who was maybe a sailor who got shipwrecked on this island, who's just been stuck there forever, and he's gone kind of crazy now, but he knows exactly what's going on here, so he kind of explains it to the characters that we're introduced to in this film. And, people have been talking about this trailer, whether it's become more jokey or this movie's going to be have more comic relief. I'm not sure exactly, but I think it'll have a good balance, and this character, John C. Reilly, is playing kind of adds to that. I think it makes sense because, like I said, if this is someone who's been shipwrecked on this island, I don't see how you cannot go mad and maybe even make jokes about it, because at that point, you've probably gone through the whole stages of being determined to get off of there, then being stuck and not being able to get off, and then probably going crazy from all the stuff that you've seen. So he's probably gone through all the stages. He's probably gone through grief and crying and everything. So at this point, he's kind of accepted his fate there, and he's probably not going to get off this island alive. So after that, you kind of just go stir crazy. And this is probably where the island gets part of its name, from calling it Skull Island. There's throughout the trailer, we see lots of different bones and skeletons of what looks like to be other giant apes, like King Kong. I'm not sure if he is the last one, or there are more of him, or there's more than one ape in this movie, but we see a lot of different bones of giant apes there. And we're introduced to these creatures that the islanders call the skull crawlers, I believe. And they're almost like these reptoid, lizard-type creatures that come out of the ground. And I think this was a way of getting around just having plain old dinosaurs on this island. And I appreciate that. I like the fact that they're having like different types of creatures and monsters, and not just plain old dinosaurs, what you would expect in a King Kong movie. A lot of the other movies, all they did was have just regular dinosaurs. So this is something different. It's a monstrous island. You even see some other types of creatures on there. Like, one of my favorite shots is the giant buffalo. It looks like a giant water buffalo or something like that, just kind of walking through the swamp. Another one is the giant spider. Now, in the teaser trailer, we see the people actually walking under this thing, and people had hypothesized that, yes, that's a giant spider. Those are not just trees. But in this trailer, we see more of it. We see it actually moving. So, yes, it's confirmed that is a giant spider that is walking over the heads of the people there. And I know that's anyone who's arachnophobic, this scene is probably going to creep them out. There's also this other type of creature. I don't know if it's like a rock monster or it looks like a rock, or a creature that perfectly camouflages in nature, but it's huge. And I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's crazy looking. And yeah, I mean, this movie is something I'm looking forward to. Like I said, as a person who's a giant monster fan and who's always been a King Kong fan, I'm looking forward to it. Here's what I call King Kong. I call that the bitch slap pose. He's about to smack the hell out of somebody. So I'm looking forward to how this film is going to look, and I'm looking forward to seeing the other monsters in there. I know there are more. I'm looking forward to seeing some monster fights and some people fights as well. Now, as on a side note for this whole thing, even though I am looking forward to this film, I'm glad that they have Samuel L. Jackson in here as one of the leads, and he looks like a tough guy. He looks like, you know, a leader type character and a no-nonsense person, to the point where he's actually going to face down King Kong himself. But they have other black characters in here. The other brother, I can't remember what his name is, but he played Eazy-E in the Straight Outta Compton movie. Now, the only thing that worries me about this character is, in every scene that I've seen him in the trailers, he looks scared. And that is, for me, like one of those old cliches about black people in films, especially monster films or any type of film where any type of thing, anything weird is going on. The black person is always scared. His eyes are bucking out of his head. He's acting cowardly. This was one of the criticisms of the character Finn from the movie, the newer Star Wars movie. He always seemed like he was scared and running away from something. You know, I that's just one of those cliches that I don't like in movies, that where they make black men especially seem like we're cowardly and we don't want to face down things. But at least they have the counterbalance of Samuel L. Jackson's character. I guess he's a big enough star. He's been around long enough. He doesn't have to do that. As well as, I'm not sure how this character is going to act, the character played by Corey, the guy that plays the scientist, but he doesn't look scared. At least he's and also the fact that he's actually a scientist during the 60s, that's also, you know, a big deal to see that, you know, we have these black characters in better standing roles, because usually it's only the white male characters who are heroic and do stuff, and it's the black characters who are cowardly and scared and don't want to do anything and just yell and cry and curse and whatever. So we'll see how the movie is itself, but that's just a side note. For the most part, this movie looks fun and something that I will enjoy seeing. The only thing I hope that they don't do, I hope that they do away with the cliche of King Kong falling in love with the white female. I think we're past that by now. I know they have a white female cast member in there playing the photographer of this expedition, so hopefully there's not, you know, there is that little scene there where he looks like he's connecting with her and Tom Hiddleston's character, where Kong is kind of looking at them, but I'm hoping that it's not a King Kong, I'm in love with the white female type things. Like I said, I think we're past that by now. That's gotten kind of played out as a cliche, and it also harkens back to a really bad stereotype about black males and white females. But for the most part, like I said, I'm looking forward to this film, and we'll see how it looks and how it goes when it comes out. Let me know what you guys think of this new trailer. If you're interested in seeing it, I will post a link to the full trailer in the description box so you guys can check it out and let me know what you guys think. Okay, anyway, Chris Crazy.